All right, let's talk a little bit about metrics. These are SEO metrics you can monitor to achieve success. Now, this is sort of coming from the perspective of you want to learn more about this or you want to do it yourself. But these are all good things that are good to understand, even if you engage an SEO agency to grow your organic website traffic for you. So let's talk a little bit about some of these principles of metrics and how they work together. All right, first up, organic traffic. This is how many people are coming to your website through Google search results, not including advertisements. So if you're running ads on paid search, that's going to come in as paid activity, but organic is going to come through in Google Analytics as coming from a natural search result. And so this is good because if you're just looking in Google Analytics like at Search Console, that's just telling you about Google. It's not telling you about other search engines. And organic traffic should roughly track with growth in your rankings. So all these numbers and all these metrics sort of work together and build on one another, but they also serve as a check to one another to help you understand and validate what you're seeing across all the different sources of data. And so organic traffic very easily tracked using Google Analytics or even any other metrics tools that are out there. But it's just the number of people who are coming to your website through a search result that does not include ads in the search engine. All right, next up is your click-through rate. This is a really good one. When your website appears in search results pages, that's called an impression. And so it's your search result listing, whether it's in the maps and apps or it's in the organic listings or content that you've created is being rotated in. That's just an impression. I think of it with a baseball metaphor. It's sort of times at bat. And so click-through rate is sort of your batting record. It's sort of the ratio of times at bat that you've had to the number of base hits. And so a click on one of your search results listings is essentially the same as a visit to your website. There's a little bit of fall off sometimes mathematically between the click and the visit loading because of how each event is being tracked. And there's a little gap of time in there where a user can close a window, or if the website's not very fast, it can create a failed visit if they exit before waiting for it to load. Part of why page speed is so important. But that rate, the number of times against the opportunities for someone to visit the website on the search results page, that is the click-through rate that's shown in Google Analytics to show how you're doing in search. All right, let's talk about the exit rate. This is a function that's completely happening on your website. Someone's on your page and they're either staying there and engaging with the content or they're exiting without going to other pages or staying very long. So the exit rate is the number of times people go and just see the one page that loads versus people who click and go to another page. If you are trying to take people to a landing page where it's just a single page, you're really more focused there on the number of people who come to the page and then how many complete a form or a phone call or take some action, select an appointment slot. But if you're talking about a website, you want people to be there and kind of stay for a while. You want them to engage other content, go from maybe a home page to a services page, or go from a blog post or other resource item that they came in on to the related service page, or maybe the home page, or an About Us page to learn about the company. All right, who is this who's creating this content that answered my problem? So that exit rate is a function of somebody going to the website, seeing what they need and leaving, or going to the website, not seeing what they need and leaving. And we have to kind of read into that a little bit based on other factors. And so understanding all these different metrics kind of builds a better understanding of how it's working. It's sort of like going to the doctor and them saying, well, he's got a temperature. Okay, maybe that's good. Maybe he's got a fever and it's fighting something off and everything's going to be fine. The fever in that case is life-saving. But in other cases, it could be, hey, I've been sick for days and this fever's not breaking. In that instance, it's bad. So an exit rate could be good or bad. We've had campaigns where we had a website and we just improved people's ability to find the phone number to reach out to a company. And the exit rate popped up for a while. That's okay because people are finding what they need. So you have to examine exit rate in relation to all the other choices that you're making. All right, pages per session. This is similar to exit rate in that you want people to engage with your website and absorb more pages and content while they're there. So the number of pages someone visits in a session or a visit to the website, that's helpful to understand. It tells you a little bit about the usability of your website. At the end of a blog, are you offering a call to action or opportunity to read a related case study? If you're doing those things, you're going to create traffic to a contact us page or a form page or resources to consume more content. So doing that and thinking about that usability can increase your pages per session, and it will definitely increase the business value of your organic traffic. So pages per session, if you're actively managing that, is going to tell you and let you see how well you're connecting with your audience. All right, next up is average page load time. Page speed and website speed has become a massively important factor for SEO. But another way to look at it is also just how fast are the pages that are loading. And so this one's just about page speed of your web pages. How fast are they loading? And this is super important because the internet is a phone. And Google has decided that the experience people have when they interact with your website on a mobile device is as or more important than all desktop experiences. And so mobile page site speed is the #1 metric, but looking at all of your site speed and just how your website's behaving is really important. And it can stir up some problems. It can stir up some problems like, oh, we got to move hosting, or wow, this content management system's not going to really be adequate to our needs because we want to grow faster and this seems to be holding us back. So this can lead to some real big discussions that are hard to resolve and require some effort and some strategy, but it's definitely one of the key metrics for understanding whether or not you're doing well or doing poorly in search engines. All right, next up is core web vitals. This is a pretty big topic, but to simplify it, we'll say that Google insists that websites that it offers to its users be functional. It includes, we'll just boil this down to 3 simple inputs that are pretty important. First, input delay. So how long does that first paint of the screen take? Because that's how long it takes for Google to assume the user is getting bored. And so as soon as they've got something to look at, they're good to go. The rest of the page can load, often below the fold. But that first input of information that they can see and feel when they're loading a page, that's really important. The next one is cumulative layout shift. We all know the experience. Goodness, weather.com, please invest some money in your website. But when a web page loads and then it starts shifting around, sometimes this happens because of poor coding. Often the height of a box on the page is not defined as early in the code as it should be. And when the content is loaded, that box has to expand. This is all easily solved coding for a website publisher. But if you don't know what to look for and don't know how to think about it, you're going to struggle to get that done properly. And the cumulative layout shift can hurt your traction in search engines significantly. Next is the largest content paint. This measures the perceived load speed by quantifying when the page's main content is completely loaded. So we all know that experience of getting a little bit down the page, it's just not loading. This thing's hung up. That's a real fast way to get people to hit the back button. They really dislike it, and it's really bad for SEO. All right, next up, backlinks and referring domains. This is other websites that are online referring and pointing back to you with links. And if those websites are highly authoritative and valuable and relevant to who you are and what you do, they have value for telling search engines something about your website. And so for all your pages in their index, that can improve your rankings and get you performing better and getting more attention and more traffic from search engines. Next up, top keywords ranked. This is how search engines know who you are and how they think of you. Looking at and understanding what keywords Google associates with your website and with your competitors can be very helpful information for understanding and developing your keyword strategy. All right, pages crawled per day. This is a just a good number to be familiar with. A fast crawl rate means that Google crawlers can index your site and its pages quickly and easily. And indexing your site improves your chances of earning higher scores on search results pages. So making sure that your site's being crawled on a regular basis and making sure that you're not doing anything with your own workflow when new pages are created that would keep them out of search indexes. For example, you don't want to load pages that have poor or incomplete content, let those get indexed, and then add your content later. You've already kind of told search engines something about that page. So get your page built. Don't load stubs or empty pages or things that are sort of intentionally broken if you don't have to. Instead, make sure that your Google Search Console is set up and that you're monitoring and that you understand how often your site's being indexed and that you understand when new pages are being published by your staff and that you have connectivity with Google through Google Search Console to align your indexing with your publishing schedule, because you don't want something sitting on your website for 2 or 3 days. You think it's good, it's there, but it's not being indexed. That's just a permanent extra lag time built into your publishing process. So a good way to think about this is not to task your team or your web team or your SEO shop with publishing to the website, but with publishing to the website and the search index. And so creating that little bit of a further finish line is going to avoid a false sense of victory with publishing. And this isn't a major issue, but it's the kind of thing that when you're working with an SEO shop, they're going to make sure it's a good SEO shop. They're going to make sure it's working well because it's going to slightly improve performance. And this is a matter of stacking up good habits and behaviors that add up to something. All right, next up is conversions. What do you want to see happen? Is it good enough for you just to have a website visit because you're adding branding? Then call that a conversion. It's a website visit. We've shown our brand either to this many existing or new people. And then do you want users to do anything? Are there quizzes or forms or activities or calculators on your website they can use? If you're trying to increase that type of behavior so people are spending time on site, then you can measure that. And then there's some conversions that we typically treat as sort of the primary objectives of a website, either sales leads, sales themselves, or appointments. And so those types of activities that show either money or time being offered by the person completing that function, those are important things. And you want to measure all of those and see the fall off rates of each. And this is important so that you can understand when you make changes, how it's affecting all these different behaviors. And it tells you a lot about both the whole numbers of how many are coming in and the rate of moving on to the next level. That tells you a lot about the quality and the impact of changes for each of those levels as you're migrating different parts of a page around or testing new content or retiring content on your website. Maybe you have a service that you retire and you take it off the website. You find out, wow, a lot of people are finding us who didn't realize they didn't need that service, but they needed this other one. So maybe we go back and talk about that subject matter some in SEO so we don't completely disappear, but we point them in the correct direction of what they really need. So understanding these different conversion rates and your fall off rate and how well everything's coming in through a true sales funnel is really helpful. Next up is bounce rate. Again, how many people are hitting your site and just bouncing on the first visit? You want that over time to go down as people increase their interactivity with your website. All right, we hope this has been helpful. It's overwhelming. There's a lot of information here, but if you get started tracking the right stuff, it is going to impact your behavior and give you a chance to improve your SEO. We'll see you on the next one.